Well, hello, Bill.
Well, hello, Don.
How are you today?
I'm weary.
Weary.
But, it's been a very, very busy week for me, but it's been a joy with the people we've had in our store today. We've had just a wonderful group of people, customers and just folks coming by to visit.
Yeah, it's still hot here in North Georgia.
Oof.
We had just a touch of rain this morning. We thought it was going to rain all day,
Right.
and that would deter the crowds. But the crowds, the rain left and the crowds came, so it was all good.
We got just enough rain this morning to make the humidity go through the roof.
Yeah. And it's warm on this porch. And then because I guess we're out of the wind. Of course, we set out of the wind so it doesn't blow in the microphones, but
we can never be happy.
No, that's right, never. Oh, here's a little breeze. I'll take it. You listening at home, we're enjoying a nice breeze in the middle of this heat.
Ooh.
Had a big group of pickers this morning.
Well, we did. We had a big group of pickers. Actually had a first-time picker stop by today. A friend of mine from many years ago, Rick Hines, came by. I bumped into him a few weeks ago and told him what we were doing on Saturday mornings, and he popped by today and played with us all morning.
Yeah, all morning, yeah.
He brought me a copy of his new album of originals that he's done, and it just came out. I don't know if it's the first copy or not, but it's one of the early copies anyway.
Wonderful.
And gave me that, and that was nice. I can't wait to hear it.
What's the name of that album?
The name of the album is Voice of Echoes.
Oh.
And it's got a lake in the background on the cover, dock.
And not just a little CD, folks, but a 12-inch vinyl.
12-inch vinyl.
Making a comeback.
There's only one problem, Buster.
What's that?
I don't have a record player anymore.
I bet you will before the week's out.
I bet this is going to be my motivation of getting one, or
Right,
at least my explanation of getting one to my wife.
Yeah, they've got machines now that you can play it and it'll download it digitally, so you can have a digital copy of what you.
Well, and he gave me a little device that's got it on it digitally too. But
It's so funny that records are outselling CDs for the first time in probably 30 or 40 years, and I don't know anybody that actually has
all
a record
my early
player.
albums. I did 4 commercial albums, and they were all LPs, and then I had 8 tracks for a few years. But my last commercial album's been some years ago now.
those
And
8
it was
tracks,
CDs.
those 8 tracks were not very durable. They did not last very long.
Man, I sold them at a concert one night. I just come in. They were delivered. I opened the package there at the concert. They had it shipped to me there. I opened them up. Looked great. Had my label on it, everything like that. And 2 things happened. Number 1, it wasn't me. It was somebody else on it. My picture was some hillbilly singer, and it was far from what I did. And then secondly, they started breaking. I was selling them for $5 out of the trunk of my car. Man, I was giving those $5 bills back as fast as I could. I was so embarrassed. I remember where I was. Illinois, I think, maybe where I was at the time. But nonetheless,
Well, let's just run down that list real quickly. I mean, we had records, of course, at first. They eventually became vinyl, but they were wax, I guess.
wax
at one point.
on metal, a lot of them.
Metal and then a hard plastic material in the Victrola days and in the early part of the
And didn't they run at a quicker RPM, like 78?
78, yeah, 78.
Yeah, I had 78s. And some of them were really big. Not even the size. Some of them radio studios, those things must have been better than a foot.
Ooh.
Wow.
Well,
Great big, huge things.
So then we went, I guess, next to 8 tracks. That would have been in the late 60s, early 70s, I'm guessing. And then cassette tapes came
Yes, late 70s and early 80s.
after that,
But we had LPs still
going,
part of it.
still going. Because people's car had stereo had one or the other, and several years there it was in transition. But then the CD came out. We all know.
Yeah, I did a bunch of CDs, different my recordings as well as the choirs and bands that I had. We did all goodness. I've got
Well, I can remember asking my dad one time because he was telling me that he had a lot of 8-tracks in high school. I had 8-tracks, but not necessarily vinyl records. And I was like, well, I've always heard 8-tracks were, the lesser of the two. Why did you invest in that? And he's like, easy. You could listen to them while you were driving.
And we all had 8-track in our cars.
He's like, if I can buy something, I'm going to buy something that I can listen to in my room and in my car.
That's one of the problems we've got today, because CDs are not in cars anymore. I've got a CD player in my car.
I refuse to get rid of mine.
And,
I've got one in my Subaru, and it's staying there.
Yeah. And with the new cars, you have to use a thumb drive. You want to listen to something like that. Different world.
It is kind of sad though. Getting a 12-inch vinyl or whatever, really being able to hold it, look at the picture, the album artwork, look at all the credits and stuff on it. And sure, it was there in the 90s with CDs, but now it's completely gone with everything being streaming.
Of course, I'm old enough to remember literally the old Victrolas, and they weren't necessarily antiques, they were still using them. Back in the I would say the very late 40s and early 50s, a lot of them had the old crank-up Victrolas in their homes, and stacks of heavy records. I've got some now, some of those heavy records in my storage building. I hope they're not totally destroyed. I don't know what I'll ever do with them, but the tub of those things almost takes 4 men and a dog to pick it up. They're so heavy.
How did somebody figure out, hey, you can take wax and you can mold it and you can put grooves into it, and it'll
Somebody
play back
smarter than me,
Sgt.
I'd figure that
Pepper's
out.
back to you.
Must be Don. Don's the man here. He'll tell us how that's done.
I have no idea, but we were talking earlier today. What you miss in the digital world is the imperfections that was in the music that did come through on the vinyl, and the
Oh yeah, now you can. When I record, I can change a pitch on my voice. I can change if a saxophone's out of tune. I don't have to get in it to redo it. I can just pump him up with it digitally. I can put him in tune, pick him out of tune, whatever. It's amazing what you can do. You slow things down, speed things up. Of course, the old vinyls, we put our thumb on it, slow it down. Yeah.
But you hear the crackles and pops and the squeaks and slides.
You hear all the other times you've listened to it in the past.
Yeah, all your guitar slides. Yeah, I love to hear that. It just makes it so alive.
But to me, it gets too perfect when we edit all that out. It just doesn't sound natural to me.
You still got an old vinyl that you cherish?
I found one the other day that I actually found several albums, and I was flipping through. And I went to the University of Georgia in the early 80s.
Go Dogs.
Yeah, Go Dogs. And there was a band there at the time that was a local band that we thought was the hottest thing in the world. They're called the Normal Town Flyers. And they played at a place called Allen's Grill and a few other places, and we followed them around everywhere they played. And they put out a couple of albums locally back in that day, and I found those, and I had autograph copies of theirs. And a friend of mine had bought one of the portable turntables, and he brought it over, and we played that. So yeah, that's just because that was college days and the memories from there. I think that would probably be one of my favorites. But I had them all.
I would venture to guess those were probably some great memories, because early 80s Athens music scene, probably one of the better music scenes.
There was a few popular acts came out of Athens at that time, REM being one. That country star T. Graham Brown was there at the time, all playing in the local
B-52s came out of Athens, correct?
They're all playing at the local bars at that time. So yeah, Athens is a
little old Don there with his fake ID trying to get inside.
Yeah, probably
I'm with the band.
Yeah, it kind of makes you feel your age when you think about how long ago that's been. Speaking of age, Bill, I don't think I mention this to you. I haven't today, but we've been concerned about the old oak tree out
Yeah.
in front. It's been there for well over 100 years, and it's an icon here. It's talked about in stories and songs and pictures in every other way. And but being as old as it is, and it's beginning to show some really concerning characteristics. And I had a guy out yesterday. Actually, our local county agent, Nathan Easton, came out, and he's not an arborist yet, but he's in the process of being an arborist, and he kind of wanted to get a second opinion, but his first analysis was it's probably not something we're going to be able to save, and so we've got to be very careful how we go through that process,
Right,
and to see what we can salvage and keep for a long period of time, where the tree has been, if it does have to come back. Hopefully we'll find a miracle answer that we can get it going again, but it's really going to be a safety issue.
People come to see the tree.
They
and it
do.
becomes the icon. You're right.
Well, it's the tree supposedly in the story, the Saltine Cucci legend, and it's like I said, well
It's a
over
beautiful tree.
100 years old.
It's gnarly and showing its age, kind of like me, gnarly and showing my age. But I don't know. It's not. It's an oak tree, but it's not a white oak. It's something else kind of oak.
I wish I was more
Well,
learned about trees. It's an oak tree is all I know, because
Yeah.
one of the limbs I was looking at, which is what alerted me, it had some green sprouts that were coming out pretty good. It was encouraging, and it had acorns on it. But those shoots have died in the last couple of weeks, which started this whole question. But it's been mini drought around here. There's other things that could be going on. Maybe it's
just
not as
get ready,
serious.
because as soon as if you have to cut it, there'll be lots of comments, good and bad.
That's
You'll probably be
what
attacked.
that's why we need to make sure that we do it the right way, and that
Right.
we have everybody involved in that
Save
process.
the stump and
Save the stump.
do something out of the old wood or
Maybe
something.
get some.
They will be coming out of the woodwork
Yeah.
to make
Well,
their
I'm-
opinions known.
I'll tell you, I'm the last person in the world that want to cut any kind of tree.
Right.
So if there's anything possibly that can be done, we'll try to do it.
Yeah, that's good. That's one of the things that amazes me, and people appreciate so much. You and Rosemarie have done your best to preserve the uniqueness of this great old store, and it makes it fun for me as just a host out in the front there to talk about it, and the fact that that's the desire, it's not just a tourist attraction. It's something that's very, very special.
Preserving history.
Well, it really is, and people, if I can catch them, even today, so people are just amazed. They started to walk through, and I've been here before, or I've never been here before, and they're headed for through the door into what would be the post office, the old post office, into the present day store retail area, and I catch them just long enough to share, and they get so surprised, and then they'll end up staying in the old store for another half hour before they even go into the other, when they realize where they are.
Well, I was just kind of eavesdropping like a creep earlier, and I was listening to a customer, I think either speaking with you or Dawn, and she was saying how, she's 61, about to turn 62 and retire, and how she used to come here as a child, and she really enjoyed the Cheerwine. And Don just kind of grinned, was like, we still got Cheerwine. That still looks the same as it did when you were a child.
Right.
And it's like, what's that old saying? As much as things change, they stay the same. This is no better example of that. This store, the nexus of the universe.
Had a lot of fun with the Wampus today too.
Yeah.
And we got to work on him. He needs a little bit of TLC.
Wampus he needs to go on the prayer list with the tree.
Yeah, right, I'll put that on. We won't. I think we can salvage him, but he's going to have to be.
Who's Wampus?
You don't know the Wampus?
No. Who's Wampus?
Oh my goodness! Well, we don't want to. We'll let you experience him.
We need to do that on the show next time.
Yeah, all right.
All right. So Y'all show me Wampus, and then I will talk about Wampus next week.
Yes, that's iconic. We have people talking about in their 60s. We have people, everybody in their 60s and older, that met the Wampus in the 60s, in the 1960s. And they come back bringing their kids to meet the Wampus.
Give me a hint. That's just such a
It's
funny
an animal.
word. Okay.
It's an animal. He's an animal that's been part of this store for years. Not many animals live this long, but this one has lived a long time.
All right. My mind is racing right now.
Okay.
So what do y'all got planned for the 4th?
Gosh, I guess I'll be here at SOAR.
Will I be here?
If you want to be,
Well, if I can, I
if
will.
you can.
Oh man, 4th of July coming up. All I can think about is shooting off some fireworks and cookouts and stuff. And well, I know y'all are old enough to have a couple of stories.
Yeah, you had great traditions here. Tell me about them.
Well, fireworks has always been a tradition around. We have several lakes in the area, and a lot of the homeowners associations and civic associations around those places have big fireworks shows. City of Helen has a big fireworks show this year. First time, I think, the city of Cleveland is having a fireworks show downtown. So hope that's, they got all the safety issues worked out on that.
Plenty of buildings down, yeah.
But and we have a show that's become tradition at our house where we live. We do just a community fireworks show, and that'll be on the 13th. We have a small lake there in Laciola, if you're familiar with Laciola, and we have a barge, and it's dedicated for this one event each year, and it's stripped down and just a flat surface. And Buzz Workman is a neighbor and good friend, and we thought he was a pyrotechnician, but he turned out to be a pyromaniac. But the first year, I can remember, Bill, I don't know if
I
you
was
were
there.
Yeah, you were there. That's right. So Buzz goes out, loads all these fireworks on this barge, and gets it out in the middle of the lake and lights the fuse, and it set the boat and himself on fire. So we heard this big splash, and Buzz had to bail. And when we got the boat over to the shore and got it put out, and the show went on, but it was almost a disaster. So the second year, Buzz comes out in a full fireman suit. You know, he had the helmet and the mask and everything, but turned out it didn't need it. But he's now got it all perfected because we've been doing this for several years, and he pretty much has it, tows it out of there, lights it, and goes back and watches the show. Probably
10 years,
10 or
close to it,
15 years probably. And it's a pretty good show, but
It's a marvelous show.
he's going. Yeah, we don't have those good fireworks here for sale, so you have to go over to South Carolina, and it's not really that far, about 40 minutes probably to the South Carolina line. So Buzz every year goes over and he picks out the latest and greatest new zingers that he finds. And
Now, how active are you in the fireworks show?
I am non-active. I am a total participant. I mean, a spectator. I just show up and enjoy it.
Just tell me how much money I need to throw in on the fireworks this year and what time you're shooting them off. You're that type of guy.
Well, I just remembered the first year we did this, our producer here of the podcast was involved, and he and some other young folks at the time were going to set the fireworks off. And at this point, we were doing it on land instead of over the water. And a friend of mine, who you know, Mark Fowler, he had a brand new motor coach, and he drove it to this event. And so they were lighting these rockets, and one of them turned over, and when it took off, instead of going up, it went straight for the motor coach.
Oh my.
Right into the side of the motor coach. And it missed the door, which was open, by the way, by about 6 inches. Had it gone in, that would have probably been a big fireworks show. But it didn't. Bounced off, no damage done. I don't even know if Mark remembers that or knew that.
Mhm.
I don't think we mentioned it, but
That's funny.
I guess he does now. But I
Yeah.
don't think he has it anymore. So that's okay. But we've learned a few things, and just be careful if you're out there doing fireworks, particularly with younger folks.
And make sure when you're cleaning up after the end of the show that any trash that you're throwing into a bonfire is spent.
Mhm.
Because a similar story to our producer, I was helping clean up after a fireworks show, and let's just, keep it PC. I was in a great holiday spirit, feeling real good, feeling mischievous. And there's this little thing called the Eye of a Tiger, and it was one of these things that had, I think, 8 to 10 tubes all in a row, big fuse off of it. It didn't get shot off during the show or whatever. So we're all cleaning up, throwing all the spent shells and tubes into the bonfire, getting our trash cleaned up. And like I said, I'm in a good mood. I'm feeling mischievous. I take this unlit firework and I just throw it in the bonfire and I just walk off and do my own thing. Well, as you can imagine, about 5-10 seconds later, it's shooting out, not up. Everybody at the party, what the heck's going on? Who did this? And I'm just grinning and I yelled, the tiger! And I'm surprised I didn't get my tail whooped.
Yeah, I can see that happen. Good. I've got a scar on my arm. It's almost dissipated, but it's probably 70 years old. But I can feel a little dimple there. I took, used to have a little punk, just a stick with it. It had a little, just a smoldering end on it. You could light your firecracker.
Oh,
Just like it looked like a sparkler,
Gotcha.
but it didn't go off. It
It's a
just kept
you
a,
lit that and it
and I
stayed
could light
lit.
that, yeah,
You
it stayed lit, and you could light your fireworks with it. Well, I laid it on my arm one time, just went right in, and that dimple's still there. And that, I couldn't have been, goodness, I wasn't 8 or 10 years old if I was that old.
That's like the saddest firework injury.
Yeah, it's sad, but I still have it.
You didn't even blow a finger off or
No,
something.
no,
You
I
burnt
didn't blow a
yourself
finger.
on the thing that
No,
you
we,
light the
Of course, we did a lot
fireworks
of,
with.
putting firecrackers under cans and cherry bombs and that sort of thing, and we did a lot of those kind of things. And we lived on a lake, and we threw a lot of stuff in the lake, and boom, that was always a lot of fun. I had so many boxes of them that my dad and uncle just sat in the backyard on the ground. I can see them today, just shooting them off, just trying to get rid of them because they didn't want me to have them after the 4th because they didn't know what I'd do to them. I mean, we did some pretty bad things with them, but they're not appropriate for me to share here. But nonetheless, I have great memories though of fireworks shows as a child. I've been overseas at big celebrations and some amazing. I think I may have mentioned that on one of these podcasts that I spent a week in North Korea a few years ago, and it was the celebration of the 100th birthday of Kim Il Sung. Again, that's a weird place to say the least. And if anybody from North Korea is listening to it, you live in a weird place. But nonetheless, they had a big celebration. It was like every shot was like a finale, and it went on for like 3 hours nonstop, and it was cold.
They got their priorities.
And of course, they weren't celebrating the 4th of July; they were celebrating his birthday. It was April 15th, and it was cold, and I didn't have a top coat on. And I remember, as beautiful as it was, I'm freezing to death. But it's the biggest show I've ever seen in my life. It's like every finale you've ever seen, just nonstop, going one. And of course, millions of dollars were spent on that. But again, it was over a river, so you had all that. Of course, all our buildings are stone or concrete over there, very Russian in appearance. So I don't think a whole lot would burn.
I feel like North Korea is probably going to need its own episode, but just how did you end up there? Just
we can chase that rabbit maybe another day, but I'm part of a large group of musicians from Georgia called the Sons of Jubal. Jubal was the first musician ever mentioned in the Bible, and the father of music, so to speak. And so we named our group the Sons of Jubal. It started 70 years ago. Matter of fact, 1954 was when it started. I've been a member of it for about 34 years. and we travel to odd places. We've sung in the Palestinian headquarters in Palestine, outside of Bethlehem. We've sung all over the Europe, Russia, and we were invited by Kim Jong, the dad, Kim Jong Il, not Kim Il Sung, Kim Jong Il, Kim Jong Un's father. We were invited by him because he liked American classical music, and he loved show tunes as well. So we were invited because he loved men singing, and through a series of other things I won't take time to go into, we were invited. We were singing at Stone Mountain, and they did a podcast of us to their head of their arts for the country, minister of arts. Anyway, they invited us, and so it's been a long time ago now. We've been waiting 10 years ago or so. But we, right after Kim Jong Un became the prime minister or king or whatever he thinks he is over there, we were invited and we sang. It was quite a deal. We were watched every moment, inside and out, and treated well, but it was creepy. But we did a lot of concerts there, and we were. There's, like I say, we won't take time now, but there's a lot of stories.
Korea.
But we did a lot of concerts. Went down to the DMZ, 38th parallel, and where you've seen pictures of Donald Trump walking there with Kim Jong Un several years ago. I was right there, except he was on the north side. But anyway, I walked in those very places where the armistice was signed. And it's
you're quickly becoming one of the most interesting people I know.
Well, I feel very boring right at the moment, but
Well, that's
but
okay.
nonetheless, a lot of neat opportunities I've had. So anyway, but biggest fireworks show I've ever seen. That was the whole point. It made me think of it. So anyway, there's but I look forward to this year. I'll probably be here. Unless something's going on that I don't know.
You know, and one other thing I just remembered about the 4th of July Independence Day celebration, growing up in White County, Georgia, Sawtee and Cleveland and Helen and all the other areas around, the 4th of July week was vacation week for everyone that worked out, worked in a public job, which was mostly manufacturing, mills and plants that they worked in. And so all those companies, the lumber processors, the textile manufacturers, the automotive parts manufacturers, anybody that had a lot of employees, they shut down the week of the 4th. And so everybody had vacation at the same time. So the county became a ghost town because everybody went on vacation at the same time, mostly to Florida. And if you've ever ridden to Florida from North Georgia in July with no air conditioning most of the time in the car, you hadn't been hot. But that was fun nevertheless, and we did that. But I just thought of that. Today we don't even remember that, but that was what happened.
We don't shut down for anything anymore.
And I've mentioned before, I'm a banker during the day, and so they got 2 paychecks the week before. And we had to beef up the cash at the bank to cash the extra paychecks.
Never thought about that.
And nowadays we that wouldn't register on the Richter scale. But
Everything's all on plastic.
that's right.
Hey, it's been a good afternoon. We talked about music, we talked about fireworks, and
Trees.
I learned one of us has gone to North Korea.
I'll show you some pictures one time. Now, I couldn't take pictures, but we took it. They wouldn't let us, but we did take an official photographer that would take our pictures for us.
Oh man, there's so much to unpack
Yeah,
here.
he was up against Alan Alda for starring in MASH.
Yeah. Now, except I was on the north end of it. They were on. I was in
border.
Pyongyang and Panmunjom, though. They talk about Panmunjom a lot on MASH. Well, anyway, now we're talking about the old Sawtee store, which is a great place. People love to come.
Well, folks, it's been another lovely Front Porch podcast.
Enjoyed visiting with you guys.
Bill, Don, thanks for having me.
Buster, thank you.
Thank you, man.
Drago. See y'all next week.
Take care, Don.
Take care.